guess we're on live, George.
That's it.
Welcome, everybody, including Ken Burke. He's already watching online. And God, I'm telling you, George, it's lightning and thundering around my house right now. Unbelievable.
Well, I got nothing right now.
Man, it's just crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
you're over here. It's raining hard. We had
Really?
a hard rain last night, too.
well, we had it last night. We had it in the morning. We got rained on pretty early, probably about 9:30. So I'm hoping it gets it all out of the system because I got a trip tomorrow and I don't need to be getting rained on.
I hope so, too.
It seems like it. I mean, it depends on what website you go to. I got one saying 80% chance of rain, but I got two other ones that are showing me graphs of how the rain's going to come in, and I'm supposed to be good till at least 2 on one website, 4 o'clock on another. How you doing, Donald? Oh, he says his street and yard are flooded.
All right. I believe it.
Yep. Well, with the amount of rain, this is more rain than we had just in the last few weeks than we had all last year.
I mean, everything in my area, it's flooded. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so bad that the water can't go anywhere anymore.
Well, I got lucky. I didn't realize it. I'm on a high area, for elevation, but I'm higher than the block behind me. And I didn't know. The block behind me actually flooded that one night we had that Friday night when we had like 8.6 inches of rain in that, whatever it was, hour and a half, 2 hours of rain. And remember I don't know if I told you about the walking catfish that was in the neighbor's pool. Well, come to find out, and I said it probably came out of a drain. Well, on the next block over, at the end of the block, there's a large drain. People were throwing, they said a bunch of catfish came out of that drain. They were throwing them back in the drain. So they had a whole bunch of those walking catfish come out of that big drain onto the street.
And my streets, I'm sitting high and dry.
Right.
There's some streets that have got a lot of water. Ditches will dry up in the afternoon. And then after this rain, they're all flooding again because there's no place for the water to go.
Well, I just can't believe, you're talking, I could walk 200 feet to my neighbor's, front of his house, and literally his truck took water in. That's how high the water got. And I didn't even notice anything at my house. I'm only 1 block away from him.
Well, be thankful. See,
I am. I'm thankful.
His streets are flooded and the yard is flooded. Yeah.
But so now I'm coming to find out, I made the post on Facebook and all kinds of people in St. Pete were typing back saying that they had them in their yards. So a bunch of these things must be in this neighborhood.
Wow.
And I'm talking about, I'm over by St. Pete College, which is 66th Street and 3rd Avenue North. And at my old house, which was 9th and 62nd Avenue North, they were getting them over there too. So this must be a bigger problem than we realize.
There must be a lot living in those drainage pipes.
Yeah.
More than we know. But you know what? Hey, maybe that's good because maybe they're
cleaning
those pipes and keeping them clean so they don't get plugged up. And let's see, we got Jim Pace on. We got Alejandro is watching. And,
how you guys doing?
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah,
See, that's where sometimes it just doesn't make sense. I don't know why, but like they just signed on and the people count didn't change. So I think, it's just strange. I think it's just a little different on that.
Well, yeah, I'm showing 5.
Now I'm showing 5. It just changed to 5.
So I don't know.
Yeah. But I was getting ready to break out a fishing pole, maybe start catching some catfish.
Why not? And I'll tell you, it's my backyard, my right corner, always got a little bit of water when we had a lot of rain. I've got like 3 or 4 feet coming inside the fence. I never had that much before.
Right.
But it's just so wet that it can't go anywhere.
Well, Friday when we had that real heavy downpour and so quick and hard, it actually looked like we had like a tornado type of winds going on. But 3 doors down and on the other side of my alley, which is the other street that flooded, his backyard, because he has the white PVC fencing and it goes all the way down to the ground. His yard was so flooded that he had to dig holes under the fence to let the water come out.
Jesus.
It was amazing. But
Now, I just wondered, have you been out in the last few days?
yeah, I'm a few days in a row. The we're getting pretty mackerel are being pretty consistent right now for me, and snook are being finicky, man. You got to really chum them up a lot, and then you got to make a really good cast. Definitely don't run any heavy leader because you need to run a 20 to 25 pound leader with a 1/0 hook. If you throw anything bigger than that, at least in the area that I'm fishing now. If you move into
Either
a
shy and probably hook shy.
yep, and and the only thing good that I've noticed with the snook is when I'm chumming now, there's some that are hitting way in the, I mean, really far back. Like sometimes you hear it and you don't even see it. That's how far under they are. But after a while of chumming, I actually got them to come out about 15, 20 feet away from the tree line.
Oh, that's great.
So, we haven't had that for a while. And then there's areas right now that some decent sized redfish are, and a lot of different areas. Fort DeSoto, Picnic Island, Weeden Island. We're getting into some reds that are going from slot to 35 inches,
And that's
33
good,
inches.
because we went like a dry spell for about 4 years
Yeah.
now, 5 years, that the redfish were very hard to get. Prior to that, you remember, you could go March, April, May, part of June, you got certain spots. If you just sat there for 20, 30 minutes, a whole
Yeah.
school would come by and everybody would get some over slot ones.
Oh yeah. Well, right now what I've noticed though is some of the areas I was catching slot size redfish a few weeks ago, they cleared out, like there's less fish there, and then the ones we're catching are a lot smaller. Another area, same thing, just getting like into those 16 to 19-inch ones, and then other areas are slot to over slot. So that seems to be the pattern. If you start catching small ones, that's probably what you're going to stick with unless you move.
And look and see what happens when you start talking about catfish. Mr. Catfish shows
Is
up. He heard his name,
Uh-huh.
Rolando Alonso. He owns the title, Mr. Catfish for Tampa Bay.
Now, Jim says he went out Friday, dark water, Newport Richie area. Bait is a mix of small 3 to 6 inch baits, mackerel at anklet with some big trout. Didn't get any slot reds for us on white bait. What's up, Rolando? Don't let him beat you up on that. The bait's a mix again. It's kind of weird. Some of the areas where they were starting to get bigger for me, that pack of bait must have moved on, and I think they went north, to be honest with you, or deep. And now we're back to not as bad. You might get like 15 or 20 that stick, and then they're anywhere from like 2.5 to 3 inch baits. Where
it's better than 200 to stick.
Oh yeah. And then like I was pressed for time the other morning. I had an early pickup. I was picking up at 7:30, and I was pressed for time. And the window is short now. The bait's showing up later in the morning on the flats. They didn't show up until 10 after 7 for me the other morning, and I knew that there was going to be like that. So I stayed close to the ramp. A little bit smaller baits there at that area, but it was worth it because it made me be able to catch the bait and get back to the boat ramp by 7:30 for the pickup. But definitely the key, if you want to try it, you'll get a mix, but you definitely got to get in that like 4 to 5 feet of water on the grass flat if you expect to get any of the bigger ones mixed in.
The water quality, is it still tannic looking?
It is, but it's less. It went from black coffee to where you couldn't see anything. I mean, it was that dark to where now it's more like iced tea. I would call it.
Okay.
What I didn't like that I saw, going back to Demons to pick up my clients, this is about 3 trips ago. There was these big blotchy areas of, looked like if you poured milk in the iced tea, if you know what I'm saying. So there was clouds of stuff that looked like that. I'm not sure what that was, but we just got a lot of rain going on. We've got unfortunately other stuff that's happened with the sewage stuff. But you know, the amount of just water runoff from the streets and everything else. So you got a mix of things going on. But if you got the right tides, the bite is still good. And I'm catching everything: mangrove snapper, grouper. I had a 13-year-old boy. He almost got his snook of a lifetime.
Oh,
His grandfather hired me to take him and his friend out. They were both 13, and he had never caught a snook before. And I had to work because that was my early morning pickup, because the tides have been so early in the morning and going out. Like the tides have been like back then when I went out, it was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and already going out. So I wanted to get them up on the flats on that last bit of that outgoing and try to get them some snook. And we did. We got into some snook. No monsters at that spot. And then when we started running out of water, it got a little bit scary. Like, let's get out of here before we run out of water. Then I moved to some open water areas that the water was still moving because of that. And I went to an area that holds snook, um, some mangrove snapper, some grouper, and we had one big break off on the flats, and we had 3 big break offs at this rock piles. Uh, 2 were grouper, and then the one we got to see, probably about a 35 to 38-inch snook. And the 13-year-old got it. The line was going out. He started rearing back and pulling like this. I'm like, no, relax. And it was a shame because we had him going away from the rock piles. He actually pulling so hard like that, and I thought it was going to break the way he was yanking on it. He actually turned that fish's head and drove him right back towards the rock piles. He was going towards the back of the boat, and he was kind of froze because he never felt something so strong like that. And I was like pushing him on the back, go, you gotta go back. And by the time he got to the back of the boat, it went around and broke him off on. I don't think he got the prop, but I think he got a rock back there.
or maybe your trim tags.
No, I don't have trim tabs.
Oh, okay.
But the line looked like it was far enough away from the boat, but being that angle, there's like some concrete down there and stuff, and I think he just unfortunately made it back. We had it good though, because at first the fish ran away from everything, and he worked really hard to turn him.
Alejandro said, what tide are you getting, Reds, with incoming? Last 3 trips here in the Glades, I haven't gotten any Reds with the incoming.
I do like the second half of the incoming to when the tide's in, and then that first part of the outgoing, when it first starts moving out. A lot of those reds that went into the backwaters, they're going to come through some of the same cuts or whatever where they went through, and you'll kind of pick them up as they're heading with the water going out. There are some spots sometimes that the kayak guys take advantage of, where if you got a deep depression on the lower tide, the reds will go into that and hang out there and wait for the tide to come,
And you're
come
fishing
back
in a
in.
boat.
Yeah, and you got them basically fishing in a barrel there, but sometimes with the boat, I don't want to take that chance.
Oh, especially, what that tide gets too low and then you get stuck and you got to wait for that tide to come back in.
Yeah.
And then for a couple of hours, you can't do anything.
Oh yeah, that, and if the wind is blowing the wrong way, you might be stuck there for 3 or 4 hours if it's a bad wind.
And if anybody says it never happened to them, they don't fish, because this happened to all of us.
Jim said he met up with Brett from Marine Tuning, and he's amazing difference in getting on plane and got gas mileage. Picked up 3 miles per hour on top end. Nice.
Well,
Awesome.
it's not as much the speed that you get; it's the fuel economy.
Right, the fuel economy, and being able to run at that same
save
speed.
18% on fuel.
Think about that in a year.
That's right. At the end of the year, you done paid for everything. Yeah, no, it's worth it.
Yeah,
That's
Yep.
good. Let's see what else he says. Something else, yeah. Ooh.
Let's see. Alejandro just gave us a thumbs up, but the mackerel are back in. They're definitely around. Really, just look for the amount of bait, thread fins on top of the water right now. Phenomenal. The amount of white bait everywhere, all the flats, Fort DeSoto, out on the beach. There's just bait everywhere, and especially in October when it really starts to cool off and you start getting those big schools of snook. our bait if that bait doesn't go away, it's going to be beautiful, beautiful size and plenty of it. This is the most white bait we've seen, and
We haven't seen this in about 4 years.
yeah, I would
It
say,
kind of a lot of the Tampa. Well, the Hula Flats was dead the last 2.5
Yep.
years.
yep,
No bait at all.
yep, and they're small there right now, but there's plenty of it, so that's just a good sign. At least we know whatever, if there was a food source they were lacking or whatever, at least we know it's back there. But you could literally, I wouldn't doubt, and I haven't ventured up there to look, but I wouldn't doubt if Culbreth is loaded again like it used to be.
Of course I haven't been up there in a long time, but man, Woody Gore, myself, and
I used to go up there.
Gore, we used to catch a lot of bait there.
Oh yeah, and they were always nice size up there.
And actually, that was one of the best spots for cobia in May.
Yes.
Those flats. For some reason, the cobia went in there year after year in the month of May, and you could get some nice cobia out of there.
Oh yeah, we used to fish with floats for trout, but be ready for the cobia to nail you, and you'd see the difference when that float went down.
Yeah, it didn't go boop boop. It was gone.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
gone.
And then also the Georgetown flats. I bet you that's got bait on it too, because I did a lot of phone calling recently just to check around the bay, and everybody's saying the same thing. A lot of small bait, but immense amounts.
And then
And I seen it at Hula Bay, and I seen it at two other places where the little ones were on top, but then you were seeing larger flashes, maybe not as many, because I'm talking like thousands of small ones.
Right.
But down below, maybe there was 100 baits or whatever, but they look like 3.5, 4-inch baits. So I think it's just like so close. And I don't know if the salinity, maybe push the bigger baits.
All this rain, that salinity's got to be down.
But there is a ton of white bait everywhere, and don't be afraid of the smaller baits, Sergio.
I mean, they're going to eat what they get. When they get hungry, they're going to eat what's there.
Right. And, if casting's a problem, you put a float on. Whatever you got to do to get a little weight out there. If you're fishing deep, you put a split shot on. It's not really.
Hey, you get one of those little floats, and I put a number 4 split shot right underneath the bottom of the float. And that's it. And it'll get you where you want to go.
Yeah. I use, we've got the 4 Horsemen floats, but I also like the removable ones. They're spring loaded, and they have a weight on the bottom, and inside the float it actually has BBs, to make a nice rattle noise. So that's a good one too. It will call the fish. But
so Captain Eddie Caldwell's on the line. He's back on, and what's it? Jim Pace says also FWC's been checking a lot of people in the Hudson area. That's good.
Well, I'll tell you what. The holiday weekend. We had them out in force down from Demon's Landing up to Gandy Bridge on the St. Pete side. I don't know how the Tampa side was, but they were out in force. And, they've got a new boat. Tampa's got a new boat, so hopefully that'll get more boats on the water. And
well, the boats don't do any good if you don't have people to put in them.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying on the holiday weekend, they had them out. And it was great. I was the day that guy stood me up. And I said, okay, I'm going to go out and scout and see what's going on. Well, I was on the flats out in the middle of Whedon, and here comes this guy full on plane through the, slow down zone. And he's just skipping across the flats going towards Christmas Pass. Let me tell you what, this boat came out of nowhere. I didn't even see it. And all of a sudden,
they got those huge binoculars, man.
Oh, yeah. They came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden the lights flipped on. I don't know if they got a running start before they put the lights on. I bet you they did, because when you heard it and you seen the lights, they were already doing 50. They were.
And, we got Captain Eddie Caldwell and his son, Hunter. It's FWC. And Eddie was telling me that they got these binoculars that you don't see them at all, but they can see you like they're right next to you.
Yeah, I'd love to have a pair of those, man. That's cool.
It's just great that they're starting to catch some of these guys. They're taking a lot of illegal fish and stuff like that.
Right. Donald said, news of the weird. Not one single registered angler caught a tagged redfish. That's not good.
Now, well, does that tell you that there's not as many registered anglers as before?
Or not enough tagged redfish. What's going on?
Well, no, but there was a lot of tagged redfish caught, but they were by non-registered anglers. Right, Donald? I think if I'm not wrong, that there was quite a few that were caught, but those people weren't registered.
But well, I want to give a shout out to Eddie. Say hello to Eddie, and
Hi, Eddie.
and then I got some sad news. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit. I want to give my condolences out to Captain Frankie Gonzalez. He lost his dad today.
Oh, you're kidding. When did that happen?
Today. I don't know.
I know we talked the other day. He said his dad was not doing good.
Yeah, it happened today. So our condolences and prayers go out to you and your family, Frankie.
Yeah. And we got none other than the famous Mike Mahoney from T.A. Mahoney. If we don't have it, quit looking.
That's it. And that ain't no lie. I'll tell you what. If they don't have something to make it work, it might not be out there.
You're getting static.
I'll come back.
All right. Yeah, and I tell you what, I grew up with Mike's parents and his whole family. When I was real young, they were in the business, originally in downtown Tampa. And greatest people you ever want to meet. They took care of everybody locally. The Mahoney family were just, you couldn't say enough about them, except that I remember one time, it was my birthday, and I got in this new Seabreeze boat, 19-foot boat with a 75 Chrysler. My wife had, we had gotten it for each other, as a present.
You're
and
dating.
She went to see Tom Mahoney, or Mike. I think it was Mike Mahoney. And said, hey, Sergio got this boat. And he sold her a horn. He sold her a freaking horn that must have been 2 foot long, and my wife didn't know any better. She boxed it all up, and I opened it up for my birthday. And I looked at this, and I looked at her, and I said, what do I do with this thing? So I went back to him, and I said, you are joking me. You sold this to my wife? Yeah, I know. Yeah. They were the nicest people you could ever want to deal with, as honest as they come. They, if something was not right, they made it right. And I think that's why they're still in business today.
Oh, yeah.
Because of that. How many companies have gone under all these years? But the Mahonies have always stayed because they've been honest. They're fair, And I tell people, you got to support the locals.
Yeah.
I'll go over and get a little cheaper. But they're not employing local people. So what's a few pennies? But you know what? When you're in a jam, you can call Mike or call Tommy, and they'll help you out. Go to the other guy and see if he's going to help you out. He couldn't care less.
Right. And they always steer you in the right direction. When you got a problem or you got something going on, they've got the knowledge, they've got the knowledge there, and they know what they're doing.
I mean, you go in there and everybody tries to help you. And like I said, I love to go in there. Just the atmosphere makes you feel like it's home.
Oh, Eddie says he's got to go. All right, Eddie. Thank you for tuning.
But
I've ran out there. I've ran out there, quite a few times, and it's a trip for me. From where I live, it's a ride, and I keep telling them, please open up a St. Pete store.
I was there a couple of weeks ago. I bought some life preservers, a throw cushion, and some other stuff. I bought a whole bunch of stuff there. And yeah, I'll be honest with you, I could have gone to Walmart and saved a little bit of money. But you know what? I had more fun just talking to Mike and some of his people. That was worth the money.
Oh, yeah. Well, like for me, I called them up before I got the Loadmaster trailer. The trailer I had, I took care of that trailer for years. I had that trailer for 16 years, and every bit of stuff that was on that trailer, I went to T.A. Mahoney's. Because it's a great place. You can go there, tell them what you need, and they have everything you need. You don't have to go to 3 different stores.
And the people there know what they're doing.
Exactly. And, you
It's
know,
not like, they hired somebody that, no. Everybody that works there knows their job. And if they don't have it, they'll try to find it for you.
right.
That's
Oh,
one
yeah.
thing. It's, oh, I don't have it. No, that's not their attitude. The attitude is,
We'll get it.
we'll get it for you. Let's look it up. And if there's any way to get it, they're going to get it for you. So I hope they're in business for forever and ever and ever. And anybody that's listening in, guys, we got to support our local people. All right. And they're one that's
Yeah.
been with us forever.
Now, I don't know if you saw that Donald did answer you. He said 16 non-registered, I guess people caught tagged redfish.
Well, that shows you the redfish are there. The registered people are not. And
Yeah.
this is one of the problems, one of the concerns that I've had the last couple of years.
I
I
don't
don't
think-
see that amount
Yeah.
of enthusiasm out there. 3, 4, 5 years ago, everybody was talking about, the CCA redfish tournament.
Right.
In the last couple of years, I talked to a lot of people. Every client that I put on the boat, you
They
all
never heard of
signed
it.
up. Oh, I didn't even know it was going on.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to get them to sign up.
It seems like, maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like the advertising for it is there like it used to be.
No, it's
And that
not.
could be a money crunch thing, I don't know, but because you used to hear about it everywhere you went that had something to do with fishing, you used to hear
we
about it.
talk a lot about it, and I'm sure that a lot of the other hosts do.
Right.
But you gotta get it out in the public.
Magazines or I don't know, but you used to see it. And the problem too is, television is just too expensive anymore. You can't do it on TV anymore.
No, I mean TV, regular television. I think it's dying.
It is.
Everything is streaming, and in fact, to be honest with you, print is really dying.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, look what's happening in newspapers. Basically, is hey, buy the subscription on the internet so you can see it on your laptop.
Well, now you brought up print. I'm just Mr. Sad tonight, I guess. I'll bring something up that else is sad. The captain's corner in the Tampa Bay Times is going away.
Yes, what I heard. It was on Facebook the other day.
That's just
Why
sad.
would they do that?
I don't understand it because you can't tell me there ain't interest in that. Everybody read that.
It's a budget thing.
Yeah.
Look, they cut down the size of the newspaper. They cut
yeah.
down the. I mean, guys, think about it, George. It's been years now. I haven't seen a newspaper unless when I go to the Tampa Boat Show. Okay,
Right.
and you get the paper, but I haven't seen one physically in my hand
Right.
in forever. But
Well, look at Florida Sportsman magazine. Look how thin that is now.
if you go back and look at the old copies, it used to be 200 and something pages.
Oh yeah, it was a book.
Yeah, and now it's not even half of that.
Nah.
But again, the more people I talk to, the more are all telling me that they're going more to streaming.
Yeah.
And yes, you got these TV shows on Bally and all that, but what ticked me off is number one, I don't have cable anymore. And then number two is
Me either.
you're already paying $100 something a month for cable. And then if you wanted to see fishing shows on Bally, you had to pay that extra $10.99 a month to get that channel. I mean, they nailed you every way you turned around.
Right. Hey, Donald is announcing that September 27th and 28th at the Tampa Bay Watch down there by 275. They're having the Captain Richard Seward Memorial All Release Challenge. So Donald, is the tournament both days, or is there a meeting on one day, or how is that? Is it a 2-day tournament?
There's this one day, it might be Captain's
That's what I
Day.
thought. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Wow. Well, listen, we better get.
Yeah, we better start. Or
How about Mike Haynes out of Crystal River?
yeah, let's do that one. That sounds good.
Good evening, Captain Mike Haynes here, Fishbones Charters out of Crystal River, Florida. So late Friday evening, I got a call from a friend of mine who asked to join his team and their team to fish with them for the Fishing for Tatas tournament, which is a tournament that's held here every year. It's going on 11 years or so. It's a great tournament for breast cancer awareness. And we had a lot of fun. We had a blast, as you can see in the video there. We were lucky enough. We went out on a 40-foot World Cat out in the Gulf looking for some big fish. And we did catch some big fish. We ended up finally actually out to the middle grounds. We had hit several different spots, but we finally ended up to the middle grounds, about 100 miles out. So we went out, went through some rain, some storms, but finally got to the place that we kind of wanted to go. I had to dodge a lot of weather to get there. Once we got out there, water was pretty calm and fishing was excellent. On the way back, unfortunately, the electronic steering kind of went out about less than a mile from the ramp. So we had to reset everything. We were pushing the time limit anyway, but it just wouldn't do it. So we were able to get it going and limp back to the dock, which is upsetting a little bit. The red snapper we had would have probably won, but you know, that's what tournament fishing is about. But at least, you know, we did our part and fished in the tournament for the cause, so it was a good time. I will tell you, out there in the deep waters, believe it or not, grouper just weren't really biting all that well. The one fish that did bite well was the red grouper. We caught a bunch of those, and of course season's not open for them. But we did catch a bunch of those and threw them back. Mainly we were using live pins, live croakers. Sailor's Choice is another type of bait that's up here that's used very well. My favorite, and the one I caught the grouper on, and we've had several different bites, my favorite on grouper is squirrelfish. So if you have a trap where you catch some squirrelfish, even if you're out there on a wreck or some rocks and you have to catch some squirrelfish, drop it back down. I have excellent hits on squirrelfish for grouper, along with red snapper and everything else. They're actually a very good bait. Just hook them through the lips and let them run down there. And sometimes the bigger the bait, the bigger the squirrelfish, the bigger the pinfish, the bigger the fish we were catching. So it was a good time. Also using just, you know, frozen squid, cut mullet, all those baits just produced fish all day long. We were able to catch a couple triggerfish, yellowtail as well. So we just had a nice mix bag of catching these fish, and I think we hit about 10 spawns before finally hitting the middle grounds and just fishing right on top of the ledges. That's the key out there. So we had a good time. It was really fun. And, so that's my report for this week. It was just an exciting trip, and I was blessed to go. So you all have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week. Captain Mike Haynes, Fishbones Charters.
I mean,
Yeah, nice report. And Sergio,
you know,
if
all
it's
this
gonna happen,
electronic stuff is smart. And when he said that, you know, my Pathfinder that is sold, the guy picks it up Saturday. My new Skeeter that's coming in with a 350, it's an electric steering.
I hate it.
Everybody, and those were Mercuries that he had on there. But
Yeah,
it's all nice. The
I hate
old,
it.
you know, the old system, yeah, after about 5 or 6 years, you got a little bit of a leak. You changed it, put new seals on it,
Yep.
you're back. Anything that's electronic and salt water,
Don't go along.
don't go along. You know?
Yep.
So,
And
you know,
and if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen on tournament day,
all right.
without a
Roger
doubt.
Bird, Roger, he said, yes, there's a money crunch, I guess.
Yeah.
Roger, I guess they're, you know,
But man, I can't believe that has a big following, the Captain's Corner. It's surprising. Now, one of the things that Mike said that, you know, I used to grouper fish and kingfish a lot.
you're getting the static again.
How about now?
Well,
All right, I'll be right back.
okay. All right. Yeah. Roger, you might be right that there's a crunch. And I noticed that, you know, when they first started, remember you had a pickup truck, and I don't know that how many boats they had this year, which one they were. I'm trying to think back, George. Did they have a Pathfinder this year
For who?
on the CC8 that they were giving away or not?
I'm not sure.
I think there
I'm
were
not
smaller
sure.
boats this year. Contender might have been one. At one time, there used to be a Contender, a Pathfinder, and Actually, there was 3 good quality boats, and then some of the
Yeah.
small ones.
I think even at one time, didn't they do Hughes for a little bit there?
Yeah, a redfisher, I think.
Yeah.
But hey, everything gets cut back a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit.
But what I was gonna say is, I used to kingfish and grouper fish a lot when I was younger, and we used to run out. At one time, we used to run out to this one area that was 66 miles out on a single engine, which I wouldn't do that anymore. But when you're young, you're just invincible. But in my 20s and early 30s, I used to do a lot of kingfish, a lot of grouper, and that was one of my favorite baits was the squirrel fish for grouper. We had a spot coming out of Blinds Pass that was about 4 miles out. We'd make a pit stop there. We would sabiki up as many squirrel fish as we could, and it was perfect. Those things just, I don't know if they sparkled down there or what, but they were great bait.
So, all right, listen,
Yeah, we're tight.
let's get Scotty.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. This is Captain Scotty Rowe from Charlotte Harbor. All kinds of good stuff going on out there. Definitely one of my favorite things to catch this time of year are redfish. Lots and lots, seeing lots of redfish around. One day I get 5 or 6. One day I caught well over 20. It's that time of year for Charlotte Harbor. We're starting to see a lot of those reds coming in. And I will tell you, I've been catching them mostly on pinfish or dead whitebait, split shotting, up under the bushes on the higher tides. Just having fun with those. Snook bite is really kicking up again. They're coming back, from spawning in the summer. Seeing a lot of those around. Fishing, it doesn't really matter, fishing on the flats or in the canals, catching a lot of those snook. Seeing some of those small Goliath grouper around in that 5-10 pound range, and that's a lot of fun too, especially on light tackle. Lots and lots of little juvenile tarpon everywhere in Charlotte Harbor right now in that 10-20 pound range. It doesn't really matter where I wind up, whether I'm in a canal system or up on a flat. Those little juvenile tarpon are everywhere, so we're having a lot of fun with those. Definitely, still a lot of trout around. Catching those in that 3-4 foot of water off the sandbars, on little sand holes around grass flats. Good stuff, guys. It's just everything's going on down here in Charlotte Harbor, and we're having fun catching a little bit of everything. So if you guys want to come on down and have some fun, I've got some days available. Look forward to hearing from you. Tight lines, everybody, and we'll talk at you next week.
And thank you,
All right.
Scotty.
Nice report. Good fish.
Always does a good job down there. We can't complain.
Yeah, I think we got to keep rolling into the reports right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. So why don't you pick one out now?
Let's see what Bucky has to do.
All right.
Good morning, Captain Bucky Goldman, Bag and Fishing Charters, Tampa, Florida Fishing Guide.com. Happy Sunday. Haven't posted in a few weeks. Fishing's been really good. We've been having a ton of rain. It's been causing a ton of dirty water up there in the upper bay from all the runoff. So you can sometimes, with all that fresh water pouring in, you get to a spot near one of the outflows and you got to be careful with your bait, especially in the summertime. You can't get on the flats too early. And if it's a low tide, that especially will affect your bait. So you got to wait until you get some higher water sometimes to get up on the flat. So you got to pick and choose what you're going to do and how you're going to run your trips. Fishing's been pretty good. The redfish have been active. Snook have definitely been really active. We've actually caught quite a few big snook from the 36 to almost 40 inch range. It's been really good. Just pounding points in the mangroves underneath. And I mean, if you've seen fish on a shoreline and you can't find them, you just got to keep working, keep looking around until you can figure out where they're hiding. But it's been good. There's a lot of baits out there right now. Bridges are good. You just got to know what you're looking for. They're usually on the down current side underneath the lights. That's where I've been finding them. But also the flats are holding a lot of bait. The bait's getting bigger. I'm still even throwing a light flats net 1/4 inch at the bridges, even though it takes a long time to sink down there. But at risk of not gilling my net, you know, because I've done that a few times this summer, which I never really done, and the 3/8 net was it was a nightmare. So, anyways, yeah, 200 pounds of bait gilled in the net, not very fun. So the flats got a lot more pinfish. Pinfish have been working really good for reds. Cut bait, cut pinfish, live pinfish. I really like trying to get those live pinfish. I don't even cut their tails off. A lot of people trim them, but I like them vibrating and moving pretty steadily. And if you got some high water, you could pitch it underneath that underneath the mangroves, just that vibration of that fish kind of freaking out, and then you can really feel them when they got pressure coming at them. They start really twitching and vibrating real hard, and just get ready. You know, I've been sticking with 30-pound tests because I've been catching a lot of snook lately. Been getting into a few big snook. Last few trips, we broke off 2 big ones, and I think we've landed 4 snook from the 35 to almost 40-inch range. So it's been really good out there. Fishing's starting to heat up with this colder weather. We should start getting some more redfish migrating in the upper bay and schooling up, and seen some tailers the other day, so that was good. It's looking good. Actually lost a triple tail yesterday, just random floating one. When I was running, I just saw him, stopped, and I had him on, and he just jumped off, man. So I don't know how, but he did. So it was a pretty good one, probably about 20-inch triple tail. So fishing's good, man. If you want to book a trip, get out there, have some fun. Give me a call, and tight lines, and I'll see you on the water, as Tony Franklin would say.
All right.
Yep. You know what they call that? He did the move on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, he mentioned Tony Franklin, and I've heard Tony, I don't know how many times, say elephants eat peanuts. So, you know, and people are worried.
You know, I looked it up on the internet.
What's that?
Yeah, elephants eat peanuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a wife's tale.
But in the fishing world, I'm telling you what, I've caught some big fish. I've caught 40-inch snook on a little bait about 2.5 inches long. The kid's grandson, my last trip I just did, he had a fish that was approaching that area, and that was on like a 2.5 inch or 3-inch bait.
I mean, hey, I've had them where you're using the most beautiful baits in the world, and some guy picks up a half-dead bait like this, and boom, and he gets a big fish.
I'll tell you something funny, just exactly what you're talking about. I was fishing, used to do a lot of tarpon fishing, and I was in my stall, and we were pitching beautiful thread fins about that big, you know, like about 5-inch, 6-inch thread fins. And these 2 little kids pull up in this small little boat. One gets off the boat, he's on the concrete bunker of the pylon, and he puts down a small square piece of cut bait. Within a minute, he's hooked up to a tarpon. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And now, you know, that's 35 years ago, but now, you know, that's like the big thing right now, using cut thread fin, chunking them, and putting your free line one on your line in that chum slick, and that's how they're doing the tarpon nowadays.
It's like everything, you know, and it works. And I was watching a bunch of stuff. Right now, the big redfish bite, it's all on cut pinfish. From what I hear, all this stuff that's going on, the people that call me, most of the action is being done on cut pinfish.
Yeah, which don't surprise me, because that's been the typical pattern. When the summer heat kicks in hot, cut pinfish used to always be the best redfish bait. And I've been using other secret cut bait, but I can't tell you. But and then years ago, you know, everybody used to
I know what it is. It's the one you catch in the water.
There you go.
See, I gave you a secret away.
But, you know, and then for a long time, everybody started turning to the ladyfish. But literally, mullet chunks, that's another good one. You know, you can go to, you know, we used to be able to go to Masteries, you know, and buy some a frozen mullet. And the mullet chunks are really oily, and that's like a really good bait for.
I remember when you could catch mullet with a net right next to the boat where you.
Oh yeah, yep. That or snag them.
Shall we get? Let's get Michael Dawson.
All right.
Hi guys, Captain Michael Dawson here, Patriot Guides House here at this week's fishing report. So this week, our fall fishing is starting to be in full swing now. The redfish bite does not get any better than it is right now. We're averaging 50 to 60 redfish a trip right now. Yes, you heard that right, 50 to 60 redfish a trip. Pretty much doubles, triples, quadruple hookups the entire day out there. Cut bait on any of your favorite flats seems to be the key. Just get out there, go to where you see some schools of mullet. Typically, we get some redfish out and throw some cut bait out. Might take 10, 15, 20 minutes for them to start coming in, but once they come in, it is absolutely phenomenal. We're still seeing some snook out there on the beach. Little guys, though, like the 18 to 25-inch fish, where most of our bigger snook are starting to move their way up to the mouth of the river as well as back halfway through the rivers. Check out the sponge docks back there around the mouth of the river. Some docks leaving the river there, you should see your snook on them. Gag grouper fishing started off a little slow this season on those strong moving tides, but the shallow grouper fishing is going off pretty well. Get out there, try to find your slack tides in between transitions. As we come into this week, the tide's going to slow down a little bit. We're not going to be on those new moon tides. It's going to be a little better, but if you want to get out there, make sure you're going out there in the slack tide seems to be the key. Lots of bait, chumming hard, throwing some diving plugs at them works pretty well. For anybody wanting to get some real big, plenty of big bull sharks around the mouth of the Anklet River right now, as well as the Cody, Gulf Harbors, they kind of rail on those flats on the outside, chasing those mold around. Captain Michael Dawson, Patriotic Guide Service.
Thank you, Michael. And did you
All
notice something? It looks like a brand new house. He was moving into his new
Oh
house.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
He's got his new house, and he well
Yeah.
deserves it. He's
Yeah,
a
congratulations.
hard young man.
Well, newly married, got in a new house, kind of starting off their life together. So that's good to see.
That's super, And well, we better hit a couple more because we're running really tight.
Let's do Tony's.
So, Tony Franklin.
Yep.
Hi, this is Captain Tony Franklin back once again with my fishing report for this week. Well, we've still had plenty of hot water out on the bay as the water temperature is still around 89 degrees in most of the spots. Although there is some spots where the rain has cooled it down this week. We have seen some around 86 or 87 in that area, possibly an 85-degree spot on one of the deeper grass flats right in that area. So the water, even though it's hotter, it's going to start cooling down a little bit as we get towards the fall, and the fish will get back in the fall fishing pattern. Right now they're still in the summer pattern for the most part, although they are starting to move around. So let's get into the report. The trout remain really a great option, one of my best bets right now. 6 feet of water, deeper grass flats, 6, 7, 8 feet of water. Make sure you got plenty of nice quality seagrass below you. Spotted sea trout, silver trout. Also the mackerel are hit and miss. A lot of the rainwater has come in the bay, and the mackerel are hit or miss on different days. Some days the mackerel bites real good, some days it's not. But we're using those little scaled sardines, small scaled sardines like I was telling you about in past weeks. That's all you need. If you need to cast them a little bit, you can put a small cork on there. But with the wind blowing, you can get plenty of distance with them. We have been catching some redfish. Once again, on the higher tide, seems to be working the best again this week. Redfish are pinned right under those mangroves, and that throw has got to be right under there. And then you got to be able to reach under and turn them right away to get them out of there, because they are heading for the mangroves. Snook are in the same areas, although the snook bite is good one day and not as good the next. So it's hit or miss on the snook right now too. Plenty action with bonnethead sharks, small black tips. Great action with Jack Crevalles. Ladyfish are out there. There's still a few black drum around some of the Bay Area bridges, so there's a lot of action out there. Get out there early is the key. Try to beat the hot weather and stay out of the afternoon storms. That's my report for this week. Tight lines. I'll see you next week.
All right.
All right, Tony. Thank you for the varied report. Tell us a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And one thing good, it's the weather. I noticed today around my house it was 85, the high in the afternoon instead of 98, 95.
Yeah,
I don't know where you're at. Maybe you still got a lot of the heat, but where I'm at, it's always a little cooler. I'm further north than you, quite a bit.
Right. It got, this morning was nice out. We had a lot of overcast. About 9 o'clock, it started raining. It rained for about an hour or so. And after that rain, come about 1 o'clock, It was brutal out. I couldn't believe how hot it felt.
It's the humidity is what kills you.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when I used to go to Vegas on business, it'd be 110 degrees outside and you wouldn't sweat
Yeah.
because there was no humidity.
Yeah.
It was really, I couldn't believe it. I'm out here, guys, hot, but no sweat.
See, now I got to get another dehumidifier for my house because years ago, my mom used to run one in her house and it did make a big difference. And it actually cut down on her electric bill because she didn't have to run the air as much. But I'm telling you, right now, I'm averaging about 53% humidity in my house. But the other night, I don't know what changed, what happened, but it was up to like 58%.
Wow.
And it was just hot in the house. Even though the temperature was saying 75, it felt like it was 80.
Jesus.
It didn't feel good. Yeah. I had to
See,
turn
my
it.
house at 78 feels cold. But I
Yeah.
guess I got a lot of trees around.
The trees. Yeah.
My house, so I get about 11 to about 2 o'clock, I get all the sun. Anything before that or after that, the trees block the sun.
See, I had a huge tree between the two houses that used to block a lot of it, and the neighbor took it down, which I'm glad she did because I don't know what they were thinking planting that tree is just too big for between two houses. And so I'm
When
glad
they
they took it.
planted it was little.
Yes,
Remember
but
that?
they know what kind of tree they're planting, you know. I was like,
Yeah,
what
but
are
that
you-
happens. Hey, I planted a couple little trees and then I started, maybe I should have planted a little further away from the house.
Yeah. Well, it's like I wouldn't be surprised because I'm talking about a pretty good sized oak tree, and it was only about 3 feet away from their house. And I mean, I know the roots were probably doing not so good on the whole underneath their house.
All right, well, let's see. We got
Pam left.
Pam, and then we'll get you.
All right.
Good morning from Pam, the Inshore Kayaking Report. The bite has been off the charts. If you're looking for redfish or big trout, now is the time to go out. I've been using a new lure between the Gambler and the Owner Twist Lock. This has gotten everything. Check out the big black drum. 38 inches across. Also, I've gotten big trout. Look at this one. I forgot my board. This one's easily, I don't know, almost 26 inches. And even the redfish are going to be singing to you. So get out on the water. It's a great time of year to fish. Have fun.
Hey guys, this is Captain George Hastic of Fish Hunter Fishing Charters coming to you from downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. Well, whitebait is all over the flat, so that's not an issue. There's definitely some larger baits on the range markers, some of the channel markers. Pinfish, so I'm getting a mix of pinfish and whitebait. The snook are definitely feeding better on the moving tides. Look for them still under the mangroves. Now they're starting to come out a little bit, which is kind of nice to see. They were deep under the mangroves today, but once we started chumming them up, they started coming out and getting out to like 10, 15 feet away. So that made it a little bit better. There's also a mix right now going on in the bay between the mackerel, mangrove snapper, and grouper bite. When that tide slows down, it's still moving a little bit out there in the middle of the bay. The bite is still going on. So like today we switched up from inshore and went out into the bay, and that definitely was a fun time. We caught grouper, mangrove snapper, mackerel, even got some snook out there also. So, just don't be afraid to mix it up right now and just stay in that moving order. That's what you need right now. The trout, 5 to 7 feet of water, grass flats with a lot of sand holes. Also check out some of the edges of some of the channels or where the grass flat kind of drops off into the deeper water. There's still some grass in that area that's holding them also. We're throwing the little PNV, chicken on a chain is an opening night. Those two right now I've been using this week and have been producing really good on a 1/4 ounce jig head. The redfish, throw a mixture of both, basically whitebait and pinfish, and also cut bait. I would throw some cut baits out, let them just sit and kind of forget about them, in the area you're fishing, and then work those white baits. Get them underneath the mangroves, if you got to add a float to give it a little bit of weight to get it, far underneath the mangroves, do what you got to do. The tides have been really high at some points, so if you have to, throw it up current and let it drift under the flat, or excuse me, under the mangrove that's on the flats, and that'll get your bait into the danger zone. Some of the canals are still holding some jack crevalles, and those are feeding really well. Lures, white bait, a little bit of anything, and it's a good time. All right, this has been Captain George Hasek. Have a good day. All right.
All right, George. Good job, man. And
Yes.
I hope tomorrow you have a good day, and let's see what happens with the rain. I mean, what is this? This has been probably one of the wettest
Yeah,
2-3 weeks that we've had
in years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think
yeah.
the other night, was it you said it and somebody else was saying it, that in one night, in a couple hours, they had more water than they've had in the whole month.
Yeah, we had 8.6 inches of rain,
Jesus.
and it literally came down. I'd give it 2 hours, maybe 3 tops. And I mean, you could see it. You knew there was a lot of water jumping, but like I said, my neighbors, I didn't realize they actually the next block over, but on the far side of the road, she got 2 inches of water in her house. So I felt bad for her.
You could send us a video report too, I've talked to Ken about, because he fishes around Cockroach Bay a lot in that area.
Right.
Simmons Park. It would be nice to get a report from him from the
Yeah, because
south.
that'd be the other side of the bay. So
That's right. Yeah, that would be great. So,
come on, Ken, stop slacking, would you?
Yeah, come on, man. Get out there and get us a video report for next week. I know you can do it. George, there's we got the boat show coming up at the end of the month. You're going to be there Saturday and Sunday. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Everybody at all the seminars, the Fins rep is going to be there. We'll have 3 drawings at every seminar. Each person's going to get a pack of Fins braided line that wins. So you're going to have 3 winners at every one of the seminars. Also, we got some good new speakers. We got Captain Richard out of Hernando Beach. He fishes Mosquito Lagoon a lot, and he's going to talk about skinny water fishing and Mosquito Lagoon, which is always a lot of people have a lot of interest in that.
Right.
Got your seminar. I got my seminar. We got Larry Fritz on Friday, and I think Michael Haynes from Crystal River. He's going to be there on Saturday.
Right.
So I mean, this time we're having a very diversified speaking group, so to speak. It's not the same people
Right.
we've had all the time. So
Now with mentioning Fins being there, I want to mention something because I don't want to see it go away. A lot of people are, I think, afraid of using white braided fishing line.
that's all I use.
And white braided fishing line, believe it or not, because I've done it head to head, and I've had the white catch more fish than any other color. I mean, there's times when I like throwing green. I like green and white because
Green, I
basically,
can't see. That's my problem. I like green,
Right,
but I
right.
can't see it.
but
I'm too
that's
old to see it.
that's the 2 different ends of the spectrum. White is very bright, where green is more camouflage. But over the years, I've tried it and switched sides of the boat and everything else. I don't know if the white turns more translucent in the water. I don't know if maybe when a fish is looking up at it from the sunlight, it blends in with the brightness and it's just white. But I don't want to see white. We use the Wind Tamer and Spin 5, and we use that white. A lot of the tarpon fishermen love using white. And it's a really good color. For whatever reason, you wouldn't think so, but it hides good in the water, I guess, to the fish's eye, because I've caught more on white than any other thing. Give it a try, because some of these companies now are talking about maybe doing without making the white anymore. And it's just from people lack of believing in it.
My regular rigs are white. The only reason I changed color on the lines is like I got some with the blue, and the blue
Right.
is because those are 2,500 reels, and that line
Right.
is 10 pound for using artificials. And that way I can look at the line.
Right.
I don't have
Right.
to worry about, because some of these reels, the only difference is the spools are the same size.
Yeah.
Just a little. I mean, you can't hardly 2,500, 3,000. You can't hardly tell them apart.
Right. And I did the same thing growing up. That's how I would know what was what. I did the same thing where, one time I was running camo on this, which I knew that was a heavier line. My green was 15 and so on. But do yourself a favor. Spool up a reel or two with white. And I'm telling you, it's going to do a couple things for you. It's a lot easier to see when you get a little tick, a little bite, you will see that white because it floats on top of the water. That white stands out really good on top of the water. And then you'll see every little tick. As soon as that line moves, it's really easy to see. You can see if you're getting a curve in your line. It really can up your game on that aspect. And then I believe in my heart that when the line goes under the water, it's harder for them to see that white. And don't forget, you're running, like I run a long leader. I run
a longer leader.
I run a 4 to a 4.5 foot fluorocarbon leader. But even still, during the day, I'm chopping that from catching snook. And I've gotten down to where the leader was only like a foot long with white line, and I'm still catching plenty of fish. So I don't think they see it as much as you think they will. Try it sometime because I really don't want to see that white go away.
We'll find out. And George, we're out of time, man. And again,
thank you,
everybody, and thank you, George and I. We can't thank you enough. We're at 26,000, I think, 300 subscribers.
Yeah,
We are boogieing, guys. Thanks to you and you spreading the word for us. We really appreciate it. So God bless you.
thank you, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.